Assalamu alaikum class. Now I'm going to continue my lecture for the chapter Robot in the Wilderness. We ended on page number 67 where the Peter Brown was talking about Go Cook robots who can read recipes, cut vegetables and bake. Now the lecture is starting from page number 68. The Go Cook can also fry, roast as required by the recipe. It can even make rotis, tell you when the meal is ready, and serve the cooked food. Go Cook is never late for work, it is never ill and never takes leave. It does not make a mistake. Can you imagine there is a robot for blind persons called Bligate? So the robot for the blind persons was called as Bligate that can memorize a number of routes and take them wherever they want to go. It never bumps into trees or other obstacles. The Bligade robot never bumped into trees or obstacles. Obstacles means hurdles or anything that stops your way. It even tells how hot or cold the weather is. So it is nothing strange to find a robot in the wilderness. The next question was, as you generally write picture books, why did you think this story would be best told as a middle grade book? My goal for this story was to show step by step how a robot gradually becomes a part of the wilderness. So his goal was to show that how the robot became the part of the wilderness, which means the robot became the part of human life. I knew the story would require a lot of research and careful planning and far more words than I could fit into a picture book. The Wild Robot had to be a novel. Middle grade readers, with their combination of curiosity means a strong desire to know or learn something. A strong desire to know or learn something means curiosity. Imagination and knowledge seem like the perfect audience. Did you do a lot of wildlife research? Do you have any fun facts from the natural world that you can share? So Peter Brown answered, I spent years doing research for this book. In the process, I learned some really interesting facts about nature and robots. I always had in my mind Asimov's laws of robotics that a robot may not injure a human being or it must obey orders given to it by human beings, and above all, it must protect its own existence. One way of simplifying these laws was to take advantage of what children already know about nature and robots. I could mention those kinds of interesting behaviors to the reader without having to explain them scientifically, like Rose's relationship with her adopted Gosling son. What has been the most fun or surprising part of writing for this age group? This might sound crazy, but I really enjoy writing a story with a sad ending. So, what thing Peter Brown enjoyed most? That he write this story with a sad ending. Well, the ending is slightly sad anyway. Until now, I have only written picture books which usually have happy endings. However, the real world is complicated and it was incredibly means class, extremely satisfying to write a story that feels true to life. I think readers would appreciate that kind of honesty in the stories they read. I found myself having a surprising amount of empathy for Rose the robot. Empathy means to understand another person's conditions from his/her perspective. We should not judge person according to our own views, but we should understand them according to their perspective, according to their views. So the interviewer asked the next question: why did you decide to give the robot a gender? One of the greatest things about reading is that it develops a sense of empathy, and we find ourselves caring about characters that are completely unlike us. So what reading develops in us class? A sense of empathy, which means we started caring about the characters that are being discussed in the stories or in anything else or in the plays or in anything else. We started thinking about the characters that that are really unlike us and we really don't know them, but we care for them. I'm hoping this will be true even when the character is a robot. So Peter Brown thought, okay, this should be true even when the character is a robot. But just in case, I took some precautions to help readers relate to Rose. So what he planned to relate Rose to the readers. For example, robots can take almost any shape, but I gave Rose arms and legs and a head, so readers can more easily imagine themselves in her shoes. So Peter Brown did to relate Rose to readers, he gave Rose arms, legs, and a head so that the Rose can resemble to the readers easily, and readers could imagine themselves in Rose's shoes, which means they could understand her. Also, I made Rose an outsider trying to fit into a new community, which is an experience people have at some point or the other. And I decided to give Rose a gender so I wouldn't have to refer to her with the pronoun it. So Peter Brown decided to give Rose a gender and not to call her with the pronoun it. It's hard to relate to an it. I examined her personality and the way others saw her, and I decided Rose would be a female. So at last, Peter Brown decided to give Rose a gender female, a female gender. What's next for you? Can we look forward to more Wild Robot books? So the interviewer asked, what's next for Mr. Brown, or what can the people or the readers can look forward for more Wild Robot books? Then Mr. Brown answered, I'm currently dreaming up another story for Rose. Of course, I'll be making many more picture books. The next few years of my life are going to be very busy. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. He said that he is planning another story for Rose and he'll be making more picture books. The next few years of his life are very busy and he was very tired or very exhausted just thinking about his life. Okay, class, the explanation for the chapter A Robot in the Wilderness is completed.